Hey, what's up, everybody? Up here, here's that Wisconsin weather. Look at all that. We got all that snow that came. It wasn't too much, but this kind of reminds me of like when my wife and I, when I first moved up to Wisconsin from Texas, and you don't get this type of weather all the time there. And what I did, we're talking about a long, long time ago, back in 1990. What I did when we first got here to start our life, to make extra money, what I did is I went around shoveling people's driveways. It was just, I was like, look at all of these people that are next to where we were living at in our, we lived in a one-bedroom studio, and I was like, look at all of these people with all of this snow, and if I just knocked on their door and just said, how much, told them what I would charge to shovel, and for some reason a lot of them were saying yes, and that was because I didn't know what you can make shoveling. I just knew that I had just got out of the military, and shoveling someone's driveway wasn't going to be hard for me compared to what I had just went through for the last few years being in the military. And but right now I'm shoveling my parking lot of the building that I own, my office building, and that's mainly because the guy that was shoveling, he retired, and then I got a kid to do it last year, and I paid him in advance for the whole season. That wasn't a smart move. He didn't show up the whole time after that, but I do give him credit. He came back, and when I had found him, finally ran into him, cutting someone's lawn this summer, one of the other businesses over there across the street, the repair shop. He had said, he had no excuse, which I thought was, most people would have came up with an excuse, but he said he had no excuse, and then he cut the grass. The whole summer he kept cutting the grass. He did miss a few times, but he did keep the grass cut and cleaned up the trash around it. I told him that if he fulfilled that I would think about letting him do the shoveling for the snow, but I think I'm going to go with somebody else. I need someone more dependable. But we're going to talk about what made me pull out the camera was when it comes to credit repair and dealing with collection agencies, doing everything that it takes to get yourself to where you want to be. It's kind of like shoveling, because I'm sitting here shoveling and I have a nice size parking lot. I mean, it's not too big, you could see here from the trash can there over to where my car that I got, because my car is still in the shop. But when I'm shoveling and I want to quit, I'm like, every time I go back and forth, I want to quit. And then I look, and you can see that there's like where the shovel pushes, I push the shovel, and then some snow goes to the side. So I'm going to have to go back over all of those and do those again. But that's the same with what we do with credit repair, with what you would have to do to repair your credit, is that those lines that you see there, that represents what makes your credit repair process successful, and what makes other people fail at their credit repair is because if you don't go back and you don't follow up and you don't do the work, you're not going to be successful with anything that you do in life, and we're even talking about with credit repair. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to clean up, go back through, and make sure that all of the lines are cleaned up, because that's just what has to be done. And I see people quitting too fast. They quit when they're almost there. You almost have your credit cleaned up, and you quit and you stop doing the work because you don't see, you do some work, but then you see that there's still too much stuff that has to be followed up on, and then you end up quitting, and then you don't end up getting to the goal that you want to be at. If you watched my video last week, there has been over, I think it was $55 million worth of debt that has been released into the market, and they are going to start sending that out to get collected. And they're going to do it especially now because they know the income tax season is coming around the corner. Because of the new administrations allowing people to look at people's finances, if you're not a business. If you're a business, they can't look into your stuff. But if you're not a business, what they're going to be able to do is look at your credit. They're going to, number one, this is what they're going to do. They're going to look at your credit report to look at your financial situation. If they see that you're making payments on other stuff, or they see you have a car, they see where you're living at, you've been living there for a good amount of time, that shows a certain amount of stability. They're going to be able to look at your job, and they're going to see that there's a certain amount of stability. And then what they're going to do is they're going to send out the collection letter, which is a dunning letter, which is not technically it's not a bill, but if you don't respond to it, it's going to become a bill. And then what they're going to do, the next step after that, is they're going to, depending on how they look at your financial situation when they do their review with their staff, is they're going to choose to sue you. They're going to go to court and they're going to sue you. And then if you don't respond to the lawsuit, they're going to get a default judgment against you. And this could have all been avoided if you would have responded to that letter and validated that debt. Usually what I'm seeing now, even if you owe the debt, when you validate the debt, it seems right now, depending on how old the debt is also, but they're choosing not to go to court. I don't know what's the reasoning. Maybe they're losing a lot of times, or the original creditors aren't giving them all of the documentation, and people are getting a little bit smarter. So they're choosing not to actually go to court. They'll just keep doing a paperwork fight with you, which puts you in a better situation to figure out a solution for it. So don't disregard any of those documents that you get in the mail, even if it's a bill that you know you have and you just can't afford to pay it. You can still fight it, and you never know, you might win. All you have to do is be willing to put in the work, just like I'm doing out here in this parking lot. So until next time, this is Steve Williams with the creditrepairshop.com. Thank you.